Please turn your cell phones to vibrate or turn them off. Questions will be entertained at the end of today's session. If you have a question, please wait for the microphone so our attendees to our PUC satellite offices can hear that question. To our satellite office attendees, if you have a question, please email it to me at rchiavetta@pa.gov. Make sure you fill out and sign an attendance form, a sheet, and complete an evaluation form. They're outside with Laura. If you did not do that beforehand, for the attorneys, please, that's very important. So you get credit. Those participating in our satellite offices, you were emailed a form, so you can send them back to Laura after signing them. All of the materials being used by our presenters today will also be sent to everyone electronically, and they'll be available on InfoMap. Welcome to the gift ban, or as I refer to it, no more golf or dinners. We are offering this course today for 1 ethics credit, so please welcome our presenters, Chief Counsel Buck Pankiw and Assistant Counsel Steve Bainbridge of the Law Bureau.
Well, thank you very much for coming here on our 1-hour ethics for the PUC's gift ban policy. This is a policy that we updated in May of 2015 in response to Governor Wolf's declaration that tightened up the gift ban policies for the Commonwealth in general in April of 2015. The PUC's gift ban in total is on our website. If you go to the tab about the PUC, it's one of the prominent things that are listed there under PUC employee gifts and favors ban. So you can look at that as well as the materials that we're going to give you today. So anyhow, why the heck do we have a gift ban policy in the first place? Well, the reason is that, went too fast. Citizens should be assured that the decisions made by government officials are based on the public interest and not due to improper influence or self-dealing. In other words, when a commissioner or a bureau director or anybody else that makes a decision in regard to their position here, their decision is based upon the public interest, upon the facts of record, and not based upon a friendship, a token gift, or anything other than what is in the public interest. Governor Wolf's 2015 gift ban explained it further. The citizens of the Commonwealth are entitled to confidence in the integrity of government, including the process by which decisions and administrative actions are rendered by employees of the Commonwealth. So fundamentally, that's the purpose of having a gift ban, to make sure that there's no outward manifestations of improper influence to lead any citizen to believe that decisions are made on anything other than the basis of what's in the public interest and the record presented in a proceeding. There's a variety of existing ethical requirements, and the gift ban is part of it. The Governor's Code of Conduct addresses a variety of things, but it addresses in particular gifts and favors in Part 1, Section 3. And we are not subject to the Governor's Code of Conduct, but we follow it as we do all management directives, and we look to that for guidance. The Public Utility Code also has a section that deals with ethics generally. Section 319A, which requires the commissioners, ALJs, and employees to avoid impropriety, to perform duties impartially, and to avoid conflicts of interest. Of course, you're not being impartial if you're making a decision based upon the gift that you receive. So that's how the gift ban relates to Section 319. And then further, we also have the State Ethics Act, and it has a variety of ethical prohibitions that are very important. Section 1103A, which prohibits conflicts of interest in regarding personal gain. In other words, you should not be voting on something that will benefit you or a close family member financially. If you're a commissioner that has a close family member that is employed by a utility, you generally recuse yourself from that decision. Or if you have a financial interest in that entity, you would recuse yourself. Section 1103C is a very important one that prohibits accepting improper influence. In other words, no money in exchange for votes, aka bribery. And finally, there's Section 1105, which requires the reporting of gifts and hospitality for transportation, for transparency purposes. Not every gift results in a conflict of interest or improper influence, but the Ethics Act requires the reporting of gifts and hospitality above certain threshold amounts. We're not going to address that today because we're going to focus on the PUC's gift ban. As I mentioned before, we're an independent agency. We are not required to follow the management directives, but we generally do because a lot of thought is put into those management directives. They're very detailed. People have thought about the issues and developed solutions and procedures, and we generally look to them and follow them unless there's a good reason to deviate. In regard to the gift ban, the commission took a very careful review. I worked with the commissioners over a period of a bunch of weeks to look at the gift ban from the Wolf administration and to decide exactly how we would respond. And generally, we follow, for the most part, the gift ban enacted under the Wolf administration, with a few I think, practical differences that make a lot of sense once you think about them. Our gift policy has been in effect since May of 2015, and that's kind of the start date for the new and, let's say, more specific and stringent gift ban we have here. Again, our overall objectives are that citizens are entitled to transparency and confidence in the integrity of decision-making. And this applies to adjudications, of course, how we do rulemakings, administrative actions, accepting and rejecting of filings, and all the numerous decisions that are made on a weekly basis by dozens of employees, throughout the PUC. Citizens shouldn't be suspicious that we are making these decisions about whether to reject a filing or whether to ask certain questions or not ask certain questions are influenced by gifts or other non-public interest considerations. Interestingly, I saw this article in the paper a couple of weeks ago, and apparently not everybody in government agrees with the idea of a gift ban, because our Auditor General said that a couple of Fridays ago that officials in 18 of the state's 67 counties reported accepting gifts and meals and trips from firms competing currently to sell or lease new voting machines ahead of the 2020 election. The gifts included paid travel to destinations like Las Vegas, tickets to a wine festival, private distillery tour, dinners at high-end restaurants, tickets to amusement parks, an open-air bar, and promotional gifts. We don't do that. We have stricter standards, but it's shocking to me that this isn't true in terms of every local government and county in Pennsylvania. Let me go back here. Let me get back to our PUC gift ban. Fundamentally, no accepting of gifts that would influence decision makings. Employees and the families of our employees may not accept gifts for a personal benefit which would influence the manner in which the employees perform their work and make their decisions or otherwise perform their duties. That's pretty much consistent with the gift ban specified in the management directive. What we also specify to help you out is to specify those groups that are prohibited, those groups that you cannot accept gifts from. They are obviously our regulated entities, our distribution companies, suppliers, anybody that we regulate here at the PUC, that's in the prohibited group. Secondly, the representatives of these entities, that would be the lobbyists, the lawyers, the government relations people. They're also in the prohibited group. Thirdly, government contractors, people like Solix or anybody else who's bidding for a contract to do work from the commission, and there's also a catch-all for entities that may be substantially affected. I'm not sure how that applies to the PUC, but That's in the management directive. Again, to help you understand the scope of the PUC's gift ban, we list the specific entities in the prohibited group, and there may be others, but it's a pretty good list to give you an idea of who's in there. The Energy Association of Pennsylvania, because they represent regulated entities. Association of Water Companies, again, they represent our water companies here that we regulate. Edison Electric Group, which is a lobbying group for electric companies as well. Same thing for the American Gas Association, specifically any PUC-regulated utility, the electric generation suppliers, the natural gas suppliers, electric generators, because we have a lot to do with passing through their costs through default service rates and other means. So they're on our list as well. Newly added is we have the transportation and network companies. We've had a tremendous amount of litigation and work with them about during the last 2-year time period. And finally, lawyers and lobbyists and government relations people for any of these entities. On the other hand, there are entities out there that we interface with that we don't regulate in any way whatsoever. We don't regulate NARUC. That's a group, and sometimes they offer us stipends for tours and seminars and so forth. It may include a lunch. Same thing with MACRUC, the Mid-Atlantic Conference of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. PJM, you can accept a gift from PJM because we don't regulate PJM. We work with them, but we don't regulate them at all. EPRI is kind of a think tank that's separate very much from day-to-day regulation. NERC, we don't regulate them. FERC, we obviously don't regulate them. They're a sister federal agency dealing with retail and wholesale electric rates and natural gas as well. Same for the FCC. ICEPIC we are involved in. There's not much happening with them, but they're on the list. The Pennsylvania Bar Institute, another non-regulated entity that we interface with. And finally, PJM, which I think I mentioned earlier. Let's see. Even though you get a gift from a non-prohibited group, it has to be reported. Travel, lodging, nominal gifts and hospitality paid for by entities that are not in a prohibited group does not violate the gift ban, but if you do receive gifts, they have to be reported on your statement of financial interests. Caveat number 1, any accepting of these gifts still may not violate the employee or other ethical obligations to avoid impropriety or bias in how you decide a matter or how you handle a matter. Caveat number 2, the travel, the lodging, the hospitality, the gifts remain subject to the reporting requirements contained in the State Ethics Act. And if the travel exceeds the threshold level of $650 from any single source per year, or the gift from any single source exceeds $250, then that has to be reported on your statement of financial interest, which is due in a couple of weeks, I understand. Specifically prohibited activities. PUC employees are not permitted to accept any food or refreshments at a private meal or reception that's closed to general members of people outside the scope of the PUC in a regulated entity. In other words, a closed meeting or closed private meal between regulated entities and PUC employees is not a situation where you can accept the meal and refreshments. No acceptance of gifts or of events or golf outings or other items of value from the prohibited group. No acceptance of travel or lodging or hospitality from entities in the prohibited group. And finally, no acceptance of gifts, including calendars, pens, confections, and so forth. That's the holiday swag. And as you see here, we have a collection of swag that's been given out over the years. And unfortunately, no more aqua squeezy toys here. No more light bulbs from our electric distribution companies. No more nice folders from the First Energy Company. I really love this one because it came in 3 sizes. You know, it was this is the bureau director size, and there was a larger one for commissioners, and a smaller one if you were just an ordinary employee. So they had that gift thing dialed in prior to May of 2015. And of course, at Christmas time, you may remember you would have utility representative traveling through the commission, giving out boxes of candy like Santa, you know, and sometimes, you know, you'd get a box of cookies in a nice container like this from Harry and David, which I'm sure is like a high-end cookie purveyor, it's a very nice box, and that's why it's kept. And if you received it before May of 2015, you're okay. You can keep these, and I have to give these back to the people who gave them to me. And also, there's this wonderful cheese board, you know, that we got some time back from a local law firm, and you know, it has not only the cheese board, it has these lovely knives in there, and it's a wonderful gift from the law firm, and we appreciate it, but no more. Those days are over. So anyhow, oh, and finally, here's another piece of swag that is currently prohibited. It's a beautiful T-shirt that says Uber on there. So that's definitely a negative. Please, that again is prohibited. Let's see here, but we do have exceptions to gifts. You know. Certainly, you know, you can still get gifts from your family and your friends. Acceptance of something of value from a parent, a friend, a spouse, or close relative, where it's clear that this is made due to a personal relationship, is fine. Ordinary loans are okay. And then, of course, we have the so-called WAG exception in our rules. It's the attendance as well as food and refreshments of a nominal value, $50 or less, at a widely attended gathering, that is, a gathering that is open to all persons interested or associated with the subject matter of the gathering and who represent a diversity of views and interests. In other words, if you're at NARUC and there's a reception and it's open to everyone who attends NARUC, people from other states, lobbyists from diverse interests involved in the subject matter of what's covered at NARUC, you're free to attend that event. What's not, permitted is a private, cocktail meeting with the representatives only of the Pennsylvania PUC and Pennsylvania Electric Distribution Companies, for example. Now, where did this WAG exception come about? Well, it came about because it was very carefully thought out by the United States Office of Government Ethics back in the year 2007, and they have a 15-page memo that covers all of this. And basically, it's based on the idea that there are certain instances where an agency may have a legitimate interest in permitting attendance at certain group events where food is served so that the employees may be able to meet on a less formal basis, have an inter-exchange of ideas with a variety of individuals, including members of non-government groups, legislators, and other government agency personnel who are interested in but may have divergent positions on the same issues. In other words, it's not a hard-on lobbying situation. It's a situation where you meet people with a variety of views on the subjects that you're concerned about. The expectation is that a large number of persons will attend and that persons with a diversity of views will be present. So when we have events that fit within that category, it will be okay and to partake in attendance at such an event and take the food and refreshments at the so-called WAG event. Additional limited exceptions. If you're a speaker or a panel member, if you're a participant in your official capacity representing the Public Utility Commission as a speaker at the conference, you can accept a free attendance at the conference. If it's otherwise costs $150 to attend that day, and you are a speaker, you can certainly accept a gift of free attendance at the event if you're a speaker, and also any, a lunch or other refreshments that are available that day. If it's a 2-day event and you're not speaking the second day, well, then generally you have to pay for the second day. But the day you're the speaker, you do not have to pay. Another exception is working meetings. Acceptance of food and refreshments of nominal value, again, $50 or less, in the ordinary course of a working meeting or during an off-site investigation or tour of facilities is permitted. And, sometimes we have situations where out in the hinterlands touring a facility and you're offered a box lunch. There's no Subway nearby. Yes, you can accept the box lunch and continue on your tour or your working meeting. We try to be reasonable in this regard. These situations, do come up. I remember myself, I was on a tour, on a bumpy bus tour up in the upper tier of Pennsylvania, and they stopped. It was lunchtime, and there was nothing but trees everywhere, but they did offer us a lunch, and I didn't pack my own lunch. I guess under the Wolf gift ban, you would have had to have packed your own lunch, but we're a little bit more liberal, and you can take the box lunch and accept it from the regulated entity. Let's see here. Another limited exception, you can accept pins and plaques of a certain nominal value if they're under $50 or less, often as a token of esteem on the occasion of your appearance as an official of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. You can accept that. And again, you can accept minor hospitality items. In other words, if you're at a meeting off-site at a utilities office, and they offer you coffee or water or something like that at the meeting, or donuts and the like, yes, you can take it. You don't have to leave the meeting and go out and get your own water and come back again. So again, this is an area where we're trying to be practical and living within the parameters of our normal business culture here in the United States. Let me get back to the State Ethics Act, because I've gone through a lot of these examples with the PUC gift ban, and of course, if you violate the PUC's gift ban, you're subject to discipline. You could be suspended for a day or longer, and also you could be terminated. But under the State Ethics Act, if you violate 1103B, for example, which prohibits the acceptance of a gift in exchange for future employment or exchange for a gift, that is a very serious violation, and anybody who violates that commits a felony and shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to pay a fine of not more than $10,000 or to imprisonment for not more than 5 years or both. So anyhow, that is the official penalty for bribery, accepting a gift for slanting your decision one way or another pursuant to the State Ethics Act. There may be other violations as well, but I thought I'd bring that ultimate gift ban violation to your attention here. So let's go through some examples here. A utility representative offers to take you out for lunch after a meeting at the commission. Can you accept a free lunch? Matt? That's correct. You cannot accept it because it's after the meeting, and that would be a gift. Next, a representative from a law firm that represents a PUC-regulated public utility brings boxes of chocolates to the support staff during the holidays. Can you accept? Rosemary?
No.
Oh.
I don't know about my staff, but I can't.
You cannot, no. Those days are over. The days of the Wilburbuds are gone.
Except when they're brought to us by the Law Bureau instead.
That's right. Okay. How about this one? PJM is willing to pay for travel and lodging for you to attend a PJM meeting. Can you attend that one, Gina? Yes, that is correct. You can accept it from PJM. Let's move on here. You would like to attend and eat the provided lunch at a private utility-sponsored event that has an admission fee that was paid for by the PUC. Can you attend and eat at this luncheon? Kathy?
Yes, you can, because you've paid for it.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Correct. Let's see. You'd like to attend a utility-sponsored reception held immediately after the conference. The PUC paid for your attendance at the conference, and the utility-sponsored reception is open to all persons that attended the conference. Can you attend? Joe, will you attend that conference? That reception?
Yes.
Okay. You're free to do so. Okay. It's a widely attended gathering, isn't it, Joe? Yes. Yeah. Let's see. You're taking a tour of a utility's distribution facilities. The utility wants to provide a private van to pick you up and take you on the tour and would like to provide a boxed lunch and refreshments. Can you accept this? Any takers?
I think, Buck, you said that you had done this on a trip that you had gone on.
I did.
So I think the answer would be yes.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let's see. You're attending a PowerPoint presentation put on by a regulated utility in Allentown, and there are donuts and coffee set out for the attendees. Can you take the coffee and the donuts? Yes, obviously. This is a common business courtesy in the United States and in our culture, and yes, you can accept them. So anyhow, let me help you visualize some of these. Oh, wait, we got another one. Utility Trade Group hosts a conference on billing and collection, and the fee for attendees is $350 to attend this conference, but you're permitted to attend free of charge because you've worked on this issue. Can you accept the free of charge attendance? Joe? No, you cannot. That's right. And the reason is because you would be getting the gift of the free attendance at this event. But on the other hand, what if the government trade group offers a reduced government fee for your attendance and you pay the government fee? Can you then attend? The answer is yes, as long as the government fee is reasonable and not shockingly low. In other words, if the normal fee is, say, $350 and the government fee is $20, I would have problems with that. But if the fee is $100 less or $150 less, that would be a reasonable discount for government and government employees. So anyhow, let's look at some examples here. You're at Nayrook, and a large luxury bus pulls up. And it says NAWC on the side, and they're taking you to a fancy restaurant, only PUC employees and utility representatives. Do you get on that bus? No, do not get on that bus. That is prohibited. On the other hand, you're in Tioga County. There's no subway anywhere within 100 miles. You've been out on the road since 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's now noon, and they offer you a meager boxed lunch and a stale sandwich and water. Can you take it to survive? Yes. Please do. Again, a meeting at a utility office, if they offer you water, coffee, and a donut, yes, that's okay. Christmas gifts, for the staff, by utility representatives, people from the prohibited group, no longer permitted. A private lunch or dinner with you and the special people from your favorite EDC, no. On the other hand, uh-oh, back. A reception, let's say at NARUC, where everybody who attends NARUC can attend, yes, you're free to attend, partake of the hors d'oeuvres or whatever they have here, that's fine. And then finally, is this a widely attended gathering? Yes, it is. In the normal dictionary sense of the term, it is a widely attended gathering. But it's not a gathering at which you will meet other people with diverse views in regard to a public utility topic. And I'm not being over the top, because this example of attending a football game is covered in the 15-page memo that we have from the United States Office of Government Ethics, where the question was asked and the question was answered, no, it does not qualify as a widely attended gathering. So let me give you some final thoughts here. Our gift ban, it's on the PUC website. It's intended to provide guidance to employees, but we haven't addressed every possible situation. If you have a question, you can ask me. If it's easy to answer, I'll answer it right away. If it's difficult, I'll have Steve research it and produce a memo, and then we will give you an answer. Again, for close questions, the easy and safe answer is to decline the gift or the free attendance if you feel a little leery about it, you don't have a good feeling about it. Or you could pay for the event if you really want to be there and you just want to be safe. And again, if you're unsure about any of this, you can contact the Law Bureau for advice. I've done this dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and Steve has done a bunch of memos on various scenarios over the last 2 or 3 years. So we're very happy to provide you with help and guidance in this regard. So at this point, we have a good amount of time left, so we're available for questions. So anybody have any
Okay, I have one that came over email. It says, okay, you have a company like American Water, New Jersey. Can we accept their goodies because they're not in Pennsylvania?
Well, that's a tricky one, because, I mean, if they have the same CEO and same management staff for, both entities, and its affiliate, I would decline to accept that, a gift from that. And I'd put them into kind of the prohibited group, because many times the companies in different states have common management. I mean, you meet, somebody at NARUC and they're the manager of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, so you can't have a situation where that person puts on their New Jersey hat and takes you out to dinner. It's not going to work.
Okay, other questions?
Yes.
Certain EDCs provide weatherization equipment to all customers. Can PUC employees accept free weatherization kits from EDCs?
What do you think, Steve? That's a hard one.
I would say no. Since you regulate the entity, even though you would normally be in a general class that would accept that, but I would say no. You're an employee of the commission and you can't.
Okay.
More
Anybody
questions?
else? Yes, Dave.
Can you explain why, if I go to a utility company, they can give me coffee and donuts, I can accept that, but if they offer me one of those little squeegee things, I can't accept that? I mean, to me, it's like it's a diminished amount of regardless.
The commissioners made a conscious decision to eliminate just general de minimis gifts. So that's why this minor stuff and even these kind of things are prohibited. It's true it is de minimis, but we did not, want to go there in terms of trying to define that category. Sure.
Yeah, the other reason is under Governor Wolf's gift ban, that gift ban is almost blanket for other agencies in the Commonwealth. So it certainly includes swag. The other agencies in the Commonwealth can't take the coffee and the donuts. So that's just an extra. We've pushed the boundaries out. So that's sort of why. We just honestly, well, I guess we just.
It's a matter of practical business custom that we would allow, water and coffee and donuts and the like. And so I think it's a good rule for us, and I don't think anybody's going to question the impartiality of PUC decision-making based upon that sort of item. Yes?
So let's say you're at a widely attended gathering, i.e. a conference, and you walk up to a table and pick up, let's say, a squeezy light bulb that's provided by a company that the PUC does not regulate.
That's if it's not from the prohibited group, yeah, you're fine to take it. A PJ, if this said PJM on it instead of First Energy, it'd be fine to accept at a conference or whatever, or a pen and pencil, or any kind of that swag stuff.
Get Betty. I got her. You got her?
Buck, I'm asking this not because I have any personal reference, but what about something that isn't exactly monetary? If you had a problem with your utility bill, or a family member had a problem with the utility bill, and you happen to know someone at the company that could help you answer that question, is it ethical to use a contact that you have with the company to try to solve a problem?
What kind of problem would you have in mind?
A billing problem, or a difficulty that someone had with their utility bill, for example, just hypothetically.
Yeah, Steve?
I know I'm sort of do you remember Nancy Reagan's program in the 80s against drug use? Just Say No. Have you remember that? Anyhow, Buck and I, we end up often saying no to things which seem very reasonable, but in that instance, I would say, based upon Department of Justice, the Department of Justice has done tremendous amounts of analysis of these kinds of issues, and so we often go to them as a backstop. They would say no. You're utilizing your authority, your official capacity to obtain an easier outcome for yourself than any normal, common, widely held membership in a group that you hold, in other words, as a regular customer. So the answer would be, that's utilizing your government position improperly, and that would be unacceptable.
Well, Steve, I've got just a question to that. I mean, what if you do have a legitimate service or billing issue with a utility? I'm a PPL customer. What, am I not allowed to go to PPL? Should I go to BCS? What do I do?
No, I think you can go to PPL, but you can't tap your regulatory affairs representative to say, hey, I've got a billing problem at my house. Can you help me fix it? That's the difference. Okay. If you go through normal channels, I think you're fine. But if you're using your position to leverage a special expedited outcome, I think that's what I would recommend that you avoid.
And just to, I guess this is always seeing the glass half full, but when we give this kind of advice, we're really just trying to protect you from any potential issue that anyone who has an axe to grind against you or somebody like that, trying to hold something against you. So in reality, what we're doing is we're protecting you from any possible accusations by, if you happen to have folks who are, maybe less interested in your success of your career or something, that these are the kind of things that folks like that will raise. And
yeah, so it could be very dangerous. I mean, we had that case with PP&L internally. It was their internal problem, but they had a higher up ask, when is my neighborhood going to be plowed out? And is that like an order to clear me out first, or just a request for information? And that was a very difficult thing for PPL to deal with ethically, and caused them a lot of legal trouble. And again, you shouldn't use your position as a PUC employee or official to leverage a better than normal outcome for others. Yes.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I would like to also emphasize if you're a PUC employee, you should not be contacting Derek Rule, our PEMA person, and saying, when is my power coming back on? That's a problem, and it does happen.
Yeah, I've talked to Derek a lot of times about that PPL case, and he's very sensitive to that.
Yeah, but Steve, I have a follow-up. You had mentioned about somebody had asked about weatherization, and I'm going to actually challenge you on that one because, for instance, we have Act 129. Everybody in this room is paying for Act 129 and PPL, handing out light bulbs on the street corner, handing out weatherization kits, handing out different stuff. I personally think we paid for those, and they're widely distributed to the public. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to take advantage of the rebates and the other things that are offered to the public that we paid for.
Go ahead.
Well, I certainly understand your position. However, because you work for the commission, I'm sure that it could be easily argued that the utility is very aware, could be aware of that, and is making very explicit point to make sure you're aware of all these opportunities, and that they're really making sure that that these things are available, not maybe more than say to any other common person. And as a PC employee, we tend to know much more about these energy conservation things. So if we're taking advantage of them, and they're free, I still think it would raise an issue. It would just protect you. In other words, my view is we try to protect you from minimized legal risk. And you are taking, theoretically, some legal risk that somebody out there could complain that you shouldn't do that. So we tend to err on the side of saying, don't do that. So
yeah, but I would have to say,
Steve.
I think the risk area here is pretty low for something that's available to all consumers generally of a PPL or anybody else. It's not leveraging your position in an improper way simply because you know about the availability of such programs and what's provided. I mean, certainly there's advantageous rates that or discounted rates that are available in certain circumstances, especially from EGSs that you might be aware of more generally than others who don't work in the business. So I think I would have a more liberal view than Steve does in this regard. And
Steve, if I could just point on something, I mean, we are also ratepayers.
right.
I mean, we do pay for these things in our rates. So just like any other customer, if we're free, if everybody else can accept them, I don't know why we shouldn't be able to accept them as well. I mean, we're in the general population of ratepayers, it looks like to me. So I have to agree with, I don't see a problem there.
Right, and there are definitely cases along those lines, and this situation has come up. So, right, I can also point to cases where there are cases where people have been considered to abuse it because of their knowledge. So,
yeah, but I think that accepting Act 129 things that are available to all consumers, I wouldn't have an issue with that.
And this also shows that these things are often very gray. I mean, there's no exact right or wrong answer most of the time, and so we just try to do the best we can to understand the cases as they are. The amount of size of things makes a difference. How much personal contact you have with people who want to influence you, that matters a lot. I mean, if you're just taking something and it's just a kid handing them out, that's, it's different.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir.
So you had that slide earlier about the, what was it, $10,000 fine or something
Yes.
like that, and I guess so. If you were to take like a squeezy toy or something like that, could you get a $10,000 fine for that? I don't know. That's a little extreme, right? But just wondering.
I guess that's an extreme example, and I guess they may have a hard time with the proof, and I think the penalty would be a lot different. But just remember this: if it's a serious matter, and you accept like a couple of $100 for, accepting a filing or deciding a certain way, you would be in violation of 1103C. And also, it's important to remember, you'd also be outside the scope of your normal employment, so you would not be defended by the commission or the attorney general, who usually represents and defends employees when they are acting within the scope of their employment.
So it'd have to be something like a bribe or something like
Yes,
that? Okay.
exactly.
Okay, I have a question that came to me by email.
Sure.
If we are working in the field at an event and the utility companies are there, we might send people right to their table for help if they have a question regarding their bill. Can we still send the information to that outreach person that will work on that hard-to-reach customer issue? We always redirect the customer to the utility company to help them first before they come to BCS.
Oh, I don't see any problem with that. I mean, that's, part of our policy. We, try to direct consumers to work with the utility first to try to solve the problem. And if that doesn't work out, then, the next step is to meet with the BCS investigators and open up an informal complaint case. And then again, they try to solve the problem by contacting the utility in a three-way manner to try to resolve the problem.
May I add something?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good example of, it's benefiting you or your family, your extended family, your relatives, your people, your best friend, people like that. Then that's showing you're favoring yourself, or you're preparing a proper. If it's just someone you don't know, yeah, I mean, that's just there's a difference between the people that you're very close with, which count as you, and somebody who you just anyone in the public.
Okay. Yes, Dave.
Going back, I think earlier you talked about like friends of yours and they work in the industry.
Yes.
They can or cannot. Let's just say, for example, Rob Powson, former commissioner, works for NAWC, calls me up and says, hey, I have an extra ticket to blank game. Can I take that ticket with, and go with him, or am I prohibited, or say like, yeah, I can go, but I have to pay you face value for the ticket? I mean, if he's just offering to me because he knows I'm a fan.
The way it's phrased is that a gift from somebody who is your friend and also in the regulated community, the circumstances have to be clear that the purpose of the gift is based upon personal friendship and not a professional relationship. The way I look at it, if you've been like, trading birthday gifts with, a friend for years, and then that person, becomes a lobbyist for the utility, can he still send you a birthday gift every year? And, I would say sure, because under those circumstances, it's probably clear that the motivation is based on personal friendship and not a professional relationship attempting to influence you.
All right, Buck, I have a question. Say many times we go to these NARUC or MACRUC functions and we go out to play golf. I always play for my own golf, but I'm playing sometimes with other utility personnel. That's okay, but I'm paying for my golf.
Well, sure, yeah. If you're paying your own share of the greens fees, then there's no gift involved, unless you consider the gift of their companionship.
Might be the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. More questions? We have still about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I can add something to your comment there. It's not exactly on, but one of the interesting things is, if you attend a meal, a private dinner or something, you can attend, because there are folks that you want to attend the dinner with. You just have to pay, and then, but you can also, if you can ask for reimbursement from the commission. If we reimburse meals, we reimburse travel and lodgings. If you can make it under a standard reimbursement, if you pay for something, you can seek reimbursement just like you normally can, and that often is the way things are handled.
Right. That's a good point, Steve. You can attend that private dinner, and if you pay for yourself or a fair portion of the allocation, That's not a violation of our gift ban because you have not received a gift, and you can apply to Bob Gramola to give you a subsistence up to the appropriate limit for that particular city and location.
Okay, I have another question.
Okay?
Oops, I lost him. No, wait a minute. Okay. What if you have a utility problem and you call in and randomly get someone at the utility who knows who you are at the PUC? Do you have an obligation to ask for a different utility representative?
Boy, that's a really high-end question there. I would keep going. I would not ask for a different utility representative to deal with it. I mean, you haven't attempted to leverage yourself. The fact that they know you, it's
I mean,
a little.
I have had that happen to me, or I've gotten somebody I had to call one of the utilities about we had just a problem at our house, and then I said the name, even though the account is under my husband's name, it's under William Dempster.
Yeah, I think it's as long as they're not showing you favoritism in how they deal with your problem, then you're fine. Years ago, PGW used to have the so-called VIP list, and they were councilmen and other city officials. And if you were on the VIP list, if you stopped paying your monthly bill, well, there wouldn't be any dunning notices. You would just continue getting service, and you wouldn't get a bill anymore. But that was long ago. So, I mean, again, the point is, as long as they're not showing you, giving you a special favor due to your position here, I don't see that as a problem.
Any more questions? We've still got just a few minutes.
Sean?
Sean has one.
Okay, all right.
You're over there. I didn't know where you were. Here, I'll come.
Okay.
So what about the offering of the gift? Is that a problem? So we know that when these gifts are offered, and sometimes I feel like there's an obligation to, gee, we're all going to dinner here, don't you want to come with these things? Is the offering an issue on the part of the lobbyist or the utility employee? Is anything in the code about that?
Not in the Public Utility Code, but I think I'd look at the State Ethics Act. I think the attempt to influence by making the offer may be a violation of the State Ethics Act. The part that I cited, 1103C, is the accepting of the gift. I think the B part is prohibits the offering of the gift by, let's say, a utility representative or somebody else. So that would be a potential violation of the State Ethics Act by the offeror. All
right, well, if a lobbyist for one of the utilities calls you up and says, hey, do you want to do dinner tonight? All right, and we go. But as long as I pay for it, there's no problem, is there?
That is correct. There is no gift.
Okay, any other questions?
I actually was asked some questions, and I was asked to carry them forth. So if we ran out of time, I have a few that
we have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, here, I'll ask you, Buck, as a question. So there's a conference, a multi-group conference with utility members and non-utility members. But you would say they're prohibited gift group. This is a conference held by the prohibited gift group folks. If there is a door raffle, can you enter that door raffle and accept that gift?
We've been asked that question before, and the answer is no, because if you win the raffle, that is a gain, a monetary gift of sorts. And of course, it's if it's, say, $10,000, that of course would have to be reported on your IRS tax return as income. And if it's income for IRS purposes, it certainly would be, in my view, a gift for purposes of the PUC gift ban. So I would recommend do not enter the raffle, and that is the advice that we gave a couple of years ago on that.
Okay, Buck, here's an example. I was at a charity gift golf outing, all right? And I got closest to the pin. And the 50-50 equaled $6,000, and they offered me $3,000, okay? I gave it back to the charity. I did not take it. But I could not take it, all right?
That was a wise decision,
Okay.
Rosemary. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Steve.
Judge Haas, one more and then we're done.
Say you have a service problem with a utility and you call and they say, yeah, we can fix that, but we're scheduling a week and a half out. And then later that day you get a call from the utility and they say, we'll be out tomorrow. And somehow you learn that you're getting expedited treatment because somebody figured out who you were. Do you have to reject the next day call and say, keep me on the week and a half schedule?
Your Honor, that's a tough question. I'm not sure what I would do in that situation, but certainly we're aware of situations where a person who is, the regulator, would demand something and say those magic words. Do you know who you're dealing with here? In an attempt to get good service. I mean, that's the main sin that we are attempting to prohibit. If they get wind of the fact that yes, you are working for the regulated entity, and they, without any additional effort by you, move you up in the queue, do you have an obligation to say no, put me in the back? If it's feasible, yes, but I mean, if it's not within your power to even address that, I don't know if I would do anything different. So again, that's a difficult question. Thank you very much.
Last question from email. Are working lunches covered or allowed? I think it depends, wouldn't it?
Well, they are generally allowed. If you're working at the front end, the back end, and a little bit in the middle, yes.
Although we have one caveat to that, we tend to view that you can't have working lunches at a public restaurant. In other words, you're supposed to be like at your office or in a conference room or something. At a private restaurant, it gets harder to argue that you're at a working lunch. So we do put that in our example. So you see what I mean.
Okay.
Okay, we are out of time. If you do have more questions, email them to me. I will forward them to Buck and Steve for a response. And then this entire presentation will be placed in InfoMap, but we're going to send it out to all users as well, because I think it's a very good synopsis for a summary for you to keep in mind. Thank you very much, Buck and Steve. Thank you very much for coming. Make sure, if you are an attorney, you did your evaluation form and you signed your form that you attended today, okay?